The Office is sorted to a mid-sized paper company in Scranton, Pennsylvania, where we got to meet a cast of characters who we grew to love. Sure, they were quirky and sometimes did things that were way over the top, but on some level, the show was so great because it was so believable. The world was lived in, the characters were relatable, and, to the credit of the producers on the show, that lived-in, relatable vibe translated to the original music that inhabited this nondescript office park in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Today, we are going to talk about 3 pieces of original music that helped make The Office great, and there's no better place to start than with the first piece of music you'll hear when starting or restarting your Netflix binge of The Office, the iconic theme song. As with almost all original pieces of music on The Office, this piece is great, not just for its catchy piano riff, or the meandering melodica line, it's great because it has that homespun indie feel, and with good reason. The song was written by Jay Ferguson, a 70s rocker who played with Spirit and JoJo Gunn. However, despite a long career with many published works, it's safe to say that no song he's written has ever been heard more than the Office theme. But Ferguson didn't actually perform the theme. That honor went to a group that was unnamed when they recorded the theme, just a week before the show premiered. However, in time, they decided on the name The Scrantones. The group was fronted by guitarist Joey Scrantone, aka Bob Thiele Jr., son of legendary American record producer Bob Thiele. But despite this impressive pedigree, the theme has a decidedly indie quality to it, like it was recorded in a garage. And that is a lot of what makes the original compositions of The Office great. Another interesting side note is that this theme is so embedded in our minds, but it wasn't the original choice. Mr. Blue Sky by the Electric Light Orchestra was a top pick, but it was nabbed by a different show before The Office could claim it. Also, Modest Mouse's Float On was another early contender, but for some reason, the deal couldn't be finalized to use as the theme. It's hard to imagine either of these songs supplanting what we ended up with. An established tune that had already charted and found a place in the minds and hearts of a substantial amount of the public would have been less impactful than the scrappy and undeniably catchy theme that we ended up with. So, thank goodness things worked out the way they did. The second song that I'd like to explore is Out of Paper, Out of Stock.
Out of paper, out of stock. There's friendly faces around the block. Break loose from the chains that are causing you pain. Call Michael and Stanley, Jim, Dwight, Creed. Call Andy and Kelly for your business paper needs. Dunder Mifflin, the people versus paper people. Dunder Mifflin, the people versus paper people. Time out.
It appears in the episode where Dunder Mifflin is running a local ad. The original lyrics and tune were written by B.J. Novak, aka Ryan Howard's brother. This song made its way to set, where it was elaborated upon and finalized by Craig Robinson, who played Daryl Philbin. Now, he plays the keyboard on the song that appears in the episode, and Michael Scott famously thought the song was going to be a rap song.
Time out. I was under the impression that this was going to be a rap.
What's rap?
Okay, Daryl, wow. You need to learn a lot about your own culture. I'll make you a mix.
But it's interesting to see who sings with him. Brian Baumgartner, who plays Kevin Malone, plays drums in Scrantonicity and is seen keeping time with his hands in the background. Ed Helms, who played Andy Bernard, has proved his musical bona fides many times over on the show.
That was great, but it's just sort of, it's still a little choppy. But don't worry, it's hard. I mean, it took me a while too. It's like, okay. What? Oh my God, you heard that? I'm so embarrassed.
And Creed Bratton, aka Creed Bratton, perhaps the best character on all of The Office.
Strike, scream, and run. All right, let's try it.
Was a member of the Grassroots, the famous late 60s, early 70s rock group. Now, it's easy to say that in an average office you wouldn't find a group of people this musically talented, but the looseness of the song is endearing, and the song speaks to the spirit of the office. By listing off people's names, it shows you that the strength of Dunder Mifflin is not in its prices, but in its people. And they're people that you know because you've been living vicariously through them for the duration of the show. And the last song we're going to look at is That One Night by Hunter, Jan's assistant. Now, Hunter is portrayed by the actor Nicholas D'Agostino, but I think just as many people remember this song. It appears in what may be the cringiest episode of the entire series. The song were written by producers Gene Stupnitsky and Lee Eisenberg, who sent the lyrics out to see who could perform the best version. And the producers ultimately decided on the version by the New Pornographers guitarist and solo artist under the name Fancey, Todd Fancey. Todd was able to inhabit the mind of Hunter and perform a song so perfect that it launched 1,000 office conspiracy theories about Hunter being the father of Jan's baby. If you haven't had a chance to check out Todd's band, the New Pornographers, they're on tour now. And if you haven't heard his solo albums, 2004's Fancy, 2007's Schmancy, or 2018's Love Mirage, I encourage you to check them out in the links below. Todd was nice enough to speak with me about writing the song, and I think we have a clip of that conversation.
Oh, I had direction from them, from a couple of producers on the show, Gene and Lee. So yeah, that was right in the in the byline or whatever of the the script they sent. So that I'd be playing Hunter. That would be Hunter's demo.
Yeah, and did you temper your voice at all? Would you have sang the song differently if it were coming from your perspective?
I would have. In fact, yeah, I would have sang it differently. They wanted it to kind of Hunter is more like a struggling musician. I think he's a bit of a an amateur, just making a demo, right? So yeah, that's the only thing is I wish it was. Well, actually, I did a more polished version, which is slightly less strained and stuff. But still, it is. It was supposed to be something that was. People are, I think, looking at it a bit like, no, this guy isn't like too great, right? Mm-hmm. That's probably part of the charm of the song is that it's, I guess, for the show is that it's not. He's not supposed to be like, whoa, everyone's not going to be perking up and going, oh my God, this is amazing.
Is at all upset that after decades of making polished, thoughtful music, that his most listened to piece will probably be something that he did that makes him sound like an amateur. And this was his response.
No, it's great. I mean, I'm just so happy to be a tiny part of that season. Because that's the reason I got the job was because I was just having dinner with somebody who worked at Universal, Allison Schneider, and I was just so into the show. Like I was like another person who had gotten into the UK office and loved it, and it was just in stitches, for those 2 seasons. And then I was like everybody else, I was kind of skeptical. Oh yeah, it's going to be Americanized or something, and nothing wrong with America, but how is it going to be treated in Hollywood? And it was so good. So yeah, I mean, I'm just lucky. I'm lucky just to be a part of it, really.
Now, we talked for much longer, and he shared some wisdom about the necessity of hard work to make it in music and his disdain for samples, citing music released without samples as having its own fingerprint, and many other things, and I can't thank him enough for participating in this video. But to bring it all back to The Office, it may not have the budget of some of the other shows on Netflix, but it remains the most popular show on the platform. And so much of the reason for this is that the show has its own fingerprint. It's true to itself, and that fingerprint permeated everything on the show, from the set to the cast to the original music numbers. So I suppose the lesson is, if you're going to make something, make it your own, because nobody else is going to. And that's all I have to say about that. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Peace.